everyone, it's Allison. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am sharing this card I made featuring products from the new Pretty Pink Posh November Winter release. I'm really excited to be participating in the video hop to celebrate the release. Pretty Pink Posh will be giving away a $20 gift certificate on each stop of the hop, so be sure to leave a comment below on my video, and then you can hop along to the next stop, which is Amy R. More details about the giveaway are in the description below, and I'll also have a link to Amy's video. Now here is the release with all the fun products, and we're going to start with this. This is the new Snowflake background stencil. This is a really beautiful stencil. Now because of all the fine lines and details in the snowflakes, I'm going to use some Pixie Spray on the back. This will hold all of those delicate pieces to the paper as I'm ink blending. So here I've already kind of adhered it to my paper. You can see it's kind of stuck to it. And I'm using my glass mat instead of my grip mat, which is what I usually use when I use stencils. All right, now I'm just using 3 Distress ink colors to color my panel, and I'm just going to add the colors randomly around the panel. This first layer is just to get the color down on the paper. I'm not really concerned about blending the colors yet. Now I'm not sure if you can see this on screen, but maybe you can see there's a slight blue hue to the stencil. And that's because I had previously used this on another panel. The colors on that one just didn't quite do it for me, so I decided to grab these really dependable colors that I love. Now Pixie Spray kind of stays tacky when you're done stenciling, so I didn't need to respray it. But having said that, there were some areas where the Pixie Spray either didn't have great coverage or it had worn off a bit. But I did end up getting a pretty great result. Another way to stencil through this kind of delicate stencil is to use pouncers if you have those. I didn't really think about my pouncers at the time. So I do have the colors at the top of the screen. And again, I love these colors. They're just bright, happy colors. Okay, so here's kind of the last bit of the first layer of color with the Twisted Citron. Now I'm going to come back in with the same colors, and this time I am going to blend them together a bit more. Now I'm only coming in with the Salvage Patina and the Kitsch Flamingo. I'm not going to come back in with the Twisted Citron. So with the blue, I'm just blending it into the Twisted Citron, which kind of creates a green color. Twisted Citron is a very yellowish green. And then, of course, the blue and the pink together create a little bit of purple. I'm not doing any major blending here, but just kind of enough. And here I'm coming in with the pink. I didn't really do too much blending between the pink and the Twisted Citron. I didn't want any sort of like weird orange color. All right, these are the winter trees. I just love this die set. And you can see I cut 3 of these from white cardstock. And these are the new Snowy Hills borders. And I thought this was the one I used, but here's the one that I actually used to create this little hill. And I'm just kind of trying to get the lay of the land here to see if, you know, what direction I want to go in. Now I decided to color my trees. That's why I cut them from white cardstock. So I'm going to use the same colors that I did for the back of the panel. And I'm going to bring in one of my little Waffle Flower Shader 2+ brushes. And I'm coming in with that Salvage Patina just to add just a little bit of blending on the tops of these branches. And so my second tree, I'm going to color that same pink color. And again, I'm going to come in with that Salvage Patina along the tops of these branches. And you know, the idea was to get the same kind of blending that I had in the background, but also to darken up the edges of these trees a bit so they would stand out from the background a little bit. And I'm coming in with peacock feathers, just slightly darker color than that salvage patina, and I have one of these daubers. Now I'm coming in with that 2+ brush again, just to get the edges of these branches that I couldn't get with that dauber. And this is the one piece that I really need to make sure that it stands out against that background because of all the white lines with the snowflakes. I didn't want that tree to get lost. So every once in a while, you'll see me pull the trees back onto this panel to see if they stand out enough. And obviously I didn't think they did. So I'm coming in with some black soot around this tree, both with that dauber and with my little shader brush. And just really trying to get the edges of the die. But here I am coming in with that salvage patina and kind of swiping a little bit of color onto the front of the tree. And I then decided to introduce a little bit of black to these colored trees. Just again along the tops of those branches. Now here is the Let It Snow stamp set. This is new. There are matching dies, but I thought it would be fun to stamp on the hill itself. So here you can see I did stamp on the hill. I wasn't really loving it, or I wasn't really sure, so I tried stamping it on white cardstock and cutting it with the matching die. And you can see I cut a new hill. This one is larger than that first hill that I had. And here I'm going to see if I like the sentiment on black cardstock. And I'm going to show you how I stamp and emboss directly on this little die cut. So you've seen me do this a lot, stamping on acetate, but I have black ink and this black paper, but this black paper is not very dark, so you can see how you can still see the stamp outline. And so I can move the die cut underneath that acetate. The acetate is not moving because it's gripping to the grip mat. So I can line the stamp up with the die cut. I'm going to wipe off that black ink from the stamp, and then I'll clean the acetate and remove the acetate. I will be stamping with VersaMark because I will be embossing this. So I did just add some anti-static powder to the die cut. And here I'm just making sure the stamp is dry. And I'll go ahead and stamp this twice just to make sure I have a good impression. And then I will use white embossing powder. Now, how am I going to lift this up, right? Because it's the stamp kind of covers almost the entire die cut. But I did find this little area where I could get my tweezers in there and not interfere with any of the letters. And you'll see when it's white how my tweezers is right in between those letters on the side. So I was able to add my powder, and now I am just heating it up. And there we go. So here I'm going to see if I like it better. I feel like Goldilocks. I kept trying different sentiments, and I think this is finally it. Now I'm just seeing, how I want to frame this card. This card, by the way, is a little bit bigger than normal. I normally do A2 size cards. This card is, I believe it's 5 by 6 1/4. And here is the finished card, so it will fit into an A7 envelope. Now that larger hill in the back is the one that you just saw, and then I cut another smaller hill to put in front. I was then able to layer the trees behind the two hills, which I think just makes it look more interesting. And I also brought a bit more black to the trees by cutting another set of trees in black and then slightly offsetting them. So you can see the black peeking out from underneath the branches on all of those trees. Unfortunately, none of that made it into the video. My camera just kind of unexpectedly ran out of storage while I was filming. Oops. And the other detail I added was, maybe you can see it along the tops of the hills, I added Stickles. There are a lot of Stickles colors. I'll have the one that I used below, listed below. And then finally, I just added a few pretty Pink Posh sparkling little sequins to the sky. And that is it for me. I really enjoyed making this card. I love how it turned out. I hope you love it too. And don't forget to leave a comment for your chance to win that gift certificate. I appreciate you joining me today, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.